Caldwell. I'm the manager. Lemonade. No, we go this way. Big Burke's waiting for you, quivering with impatience. Jesse. Miss Tree, our assistant manager, Mr. Judd, Mr. Caldwell.
Hi, welcome to the Skylark.
Well, thank you. Anything you want anytime, you just give Jessie a shout. She runs the joint. Here we go. All the facilities. Our motto, if you don't see it, ask for it. Oh, we better get to Big Burke. He has to catch a plane out. He's putting up a new unit down in San Juan.
Didn't mean to keep him waiting. We stopped off to meet the DA.
Is that what everybody calls him, Big Burke?
No, only me, when I'm feeling reverent.
Together with the difficulty of finding, training, and securing the loyalty of adequate personnel, we feel... Oh, Mr. Judd.
Mr. Burke, my associate, Mr. Caldwell.
You have a good trip?
Yes, thank you. I understand we
Oh,
kept
that's
you
all
waiting.
right. But I am in a bit of a time bind, so you'll bear with me. This is Ed Zimmerman, my company's attorney. He's been handling all the preliminary aspects of my son's arrest.
How do you do,
Ed's
Mr.
prepared a
Zimmerman?
resume of everything so far.
I'll take that.
This is a stenographic record of my son's interviews with the police, the district attorney, and his arraignment. Ed?
Here you are, sir.
Private investigation, interviews with prospective witnesses, and a psychiatric report based on my son's examinations at the Zelma Clinic. Fred Zelma can fill you in more in person, of course.
Looks very complete.
Now, anything you want in the way of stenographic help or anything about your accommodations here, just say the word. We want you to be comfortable.
Thank you.
Forgive me just saying hello and then busting out like this, but I'll be back on Thursday. You'll be better oriented then.
Just a minute. Mr. Burke, I've seen parents express more concern when their sons were arrested for reckless driving. Now, you tell me, did I drop into the wrong place, or is your son accused of murder?
I've expressed my concern by bringing Clint and Judd all the way up here from Houston. What I feel now is absolute confidence that you can get my son cleared.
Which is more than I feel so far.
That's because you haven't met him, haven't sized him up. You will find, Mr. Judd, that he's a perfectly harmless boy, guilty only of, what? Placing a few bets with a bookmaker? That's normal. Losing a little money? That's par. But then, killing this bookmaker? Impossible. My son couldn't kill a grasshopper. Anything at all you want, Mr. Judd. We feel very glad to have you.
Big Burke?
Well, I'll show you to your suite, gentlemen. Is there anything else you'd like right now?
Yes, Little Burke.
Oh, him?
You know, the one accused of murder.
Yes. Well, that's me. No, that's not grammatical, is it? I am him. He is I. But however you want to put it.
Judd, for the defense.
This is your room control board. And if you want to take her up, these are the desk lights, the side lights, the cove lights, TV, remote control, and air conditioning.
Mr. Burke,
You call me Brezzy.
mind talking about murder from your viewpoint?
Am I supposed to have one? I mean, Big Burke's laid everything out.
You're accused of killing your bookie.
Oh, well, I wouldn't call him mine exactly, my bookie. No, Bill Shots, everyone's bookie.
How do you mean that?
Well, I mean, he did quite a sizable business here with guests mostly, of course. You know, the wound-up executive. He flies in, he wants to meet a nice, friendly girl to get a little money bet on the ponies. Hey, you write down everything, huh?
Yep. So, Schatz was a sort of facility here, hmm? The house bookie.
So to speak.
Who'd he pay off?
Huh?
Well, a bookie doesn't do business door to door, you know. He has someone on the premises steering for him, sending him customers. And that someone takes a cut. Who took the cut here?
I guess that would be, Zwicky, the bell captain, Terry Zwicky.
I'd like to talk with Zwicky.
Gone?
Since when?
Oh, several months.
To where?
Nobody seems to know.
Why not? A man is murdered, another man closely associated with him disappears. Why haven't the police pulled him in?
You're asking me?
All right, let's talk about you again. A bookie, William Schatz, disappeared from a New Year's celebration here 6 months ago. 2 weeks later, his body was found buried. Still later, the police receive an anonymous tip directing them towards you. Who provided that? Well, anyway, the police called you in. You began by denying that you'd ever heard of Schatz. Why?
Stupid.
Then you admitted knowing him, but denied ever placing bets with him. Then you admitted placing bets with him, but denied that you ever owed him any money. Ending at long last with the admission that you'd owed him $14,000 and that he was pressing you to pay.
All right, I was trying not to get involved. Yes, I owed him money. He'd been after me for it. But I met him on New Year's Eve. I paid him back, and that's the last I ever saw him. All right, now later, he turns up defunct. Now, I'd no idea who'd done that, except not me. So the DA doesn't have much of a case against me, does he? I mean, what about everybody else who knew Schatz? Hundreds of people, thousands maybe.
But you're the one who got charged. You provided the DA with sufficient motive and a series of reluctant, damaging confessions. I'll admit he doesn't have much of a case. But the trouble is, I've seen men convicted on less.
You didn't tell them everything, did you?
Oh, no.
They ask about me.
Oh, why should they? You're just my assistant manager. Pretty, slightly pigeon-toed girl.
Buzzy, I got another note from our friend today. He wants more money.
Boy, has he got an appetite, huh? How much does he want this time?
1,500.
All right. All right, I'll get it. You can send me the money.
Buzzy, why don't you just tell them the whole gibbering mess?
No. No, I'm not going to do that. In the well-worn phrase, there are some things that I want to keep clean.
But if it were to come out suddenly, without them knowing it at the trial, it could ruin your whole defense. But if you tell them now, at least they have a chance.
I'm not going to do it. I said no. They're good lawyers. They're getting paid good money. But they don't know. They can just do without.
But I'm scared. Very scared.
Hmm?
Schatz? My name's Judd. I represent Bruce Birch. He's accused of killing your brother, William Schatz. Your brother was a bookie, and you're a bookie and still in business. How come?
I sell and repair sewing machines.
How much do you report in income taxes?
What do you want?
First item, your brother's book. I want to know everybody who bet with him, everybody who owed him money. Mr. Schatz, the DA has that list.
Get it from him.
I want it from you. I'll subpoena it if I have to.
All right, I'll send it.
Second item. Way back at the beginning, when the police didn't know whom to suspect, they got a tip on Bruce Birch. An anonymous tip. Who gave it to him? You? Third item. Who was your brother's connection at the Skylark Hotel? Was it Terry Zawicki?
Zawicki is nothing, a bellboy, a drifter.
Why don't you ask about William Schatz? Ask about an important man. A husband, a father.
Irene, this is Burke's lawyer, my brother's wife.
How do you do, Mrs. Schatz?
My husband was a decent man. All his life working to provide for his family. Now, maybe you think a bookmaker couldn't have a family.
All the more reason for finding out what really happened to your husband.
I'll tell you what happened. A rich boy with a silver spoon that never did a day's work in his whole life. All the money he has, he wouldn't pay. Easier to kill him. My husband. My poor husband.
Irene. Look, Mr. Judd, I'll send that list, all right? And that's it. And leave me out, right?
Just one thing more. The Skylark Hotel was your brother's territory. He's gone, but why haven't you taken over?
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
I'm Charles Gratner. Bruce Burke said you wanted to see me.
Oh, yes. Come on in, please. This is Clinton Judd, Charles Grattan.
How do you do?
Won't you sit down, Mr. Grattan?
Thank you.
Bruzzy tells me that you're a good friend of his.
I hope so.
And yet the DA says you're going to testify against him.
Well, not because I want to. Let's get that straight. The district attorney is compelling me to testify on certain matters of fact.
Such as?
Thanks. Bruzzy was in debt to Bill Schatz. He lost money on a hockey game.
On a tip from you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I lost money on that game, too.
What was the tip, Mr. Gratner?
Well, I heard the star forward would be unable to play. He had flu.
Where'd you hear that?
In the bar. Just that silly. I bet. I told Bruzzy he bet. A couple of jumps.
How long have you lived here, Mr. Gratner?
Oh, about 3 years. Since my wife died. I'm in the market, stocks and commodities, but mostly I'm retired. It's convenient here.
Can you tell me anything about small creature comforts for the visiting businessman at this hotel? Schatz was the bookie, but what about the girls? Who ran that?
Do I look like a swinger?
But you did place bets.
Oh, doesn't everybody? Look, why don't you ask me important questions about Bruzzy? Ask me in court. Ask me if I think he killed Schatz or if I think he could kill anyone. I'll say it's ridiculous. Oh, I know what the papers say about him. Millionaire's playboy's son. Skylark's Skylark. And he swings a little. But basically, he's the sweetest guy I ever knew. Sweet guy, absolutely harmless.
What's going on out there?
Your client decided to throw a cocktail party.
A party? What?
Yeah, that's Bruzzy, the spur-of-the-moment kid.
And didn't you warn him about that sort of thing?
Sure, I warned him. I told him bad publicity.
Stand back, everybody. Over there is honor, purity, truth. Down there, despair, confusion, and disgrace. Are you ready? Are you?
Some reporters managed to sneak in. Bruzzy's drunk.
Did you get him undercover?
I tried.
Bruzzy! 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 Get out fast.
The caption writers are having a field day, Mr. Judd. The best I read was, quote, how do I get out of this one? Unquote.
I wondered why you let my client out on bail. Was it in hopes of something like this, that he'd convict himself for you?
If it was, I must say he's been quite obliging.
This is more than I can say for you. I asked you yesterday for the police records of the investigation into Schatz's death.
And I gave them to you. Those records pertaining to Schatz and your client.
What about Schatz and everyone else? The man was a bookie. He dealt with everyone.
Everyone else isn't on trial.
What about records on Zawicki? Where is he? Who is he? What are you doing about him?
Zawicki isn't your client.
Who gave you that first anonymous tip against my client?
If I knew it wouldn't be anonymous.
How many tips just as good have the police not followed up on?
Oh, you mean how many red herrings can you find to drag in front of the jury? You have my sympathy, Mr. Judd. With Bruce Burke as a client, I'd be frustrated. Have you been looking for him this morning?
Nope.
In that case, let me break the news. Your client has succeeded in making this look like a visit to church. He's been returned to custody. We pulled him in at the airport at 2 a.m., trying to buy an airplane ticket to fly out of the country.
What in the name of heaven did you think you were doing?
Bruce, why? Please, that's all I'm asking. Just why?
That's what his counsel would like to know.
Bruzzy, I'm sure you realize what you've done to yourself. Your reputation in the newspapers, your case in court, an attempted escape.
Judd, I'm not that stupid.
How stupid are you?
Jesse.
Oh, please don't go, Miss Tree. That is, if you just stay in the waiting room outside.
How about letting her out?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand you, and I may need all the help I can get. Please.
I wasn't trying to escape. I had a crazy idea. I was a little drunk. And I drove to the airport and tried to buy a plane ticket. They wouldn't sell me a ticket. I tried to charter a plane. I just wanted to fly down and back.
Down to where?
The island of Antigua.
Why?
See my kid? Jesse and I had a kid down there 3 years ago. My kid. I've never even seen it. I mean, him. It's a boy. He lives with foster parents here. Why didn't you tell me? Rosie, in God's name, if you have a child, why couldn't you just... I wanted to keep him away from this. No, I don't mean this right now. I mean everything.
The world?
Jesse and I take care of him. I mean, we send money. You wanted to know why I was slow in paying Schatz? Well, I figured that the kid came first. Right? Why couldn't you just marry the girl? Why not bring the child here? Secrets all your life. See, Mr. Burke, please. Jesse says they really love him, the foster parents. Well, I don't know. I've always liked thinking of him down there. You know, love's not shoved or pushed around. Out of it. Oh, perfect. Perfect somehow. Anyway, what with the trial beginning on Monday, it came to me that I might not be able to go anywhere for who knows how many years. And I wanted to take, like, my last chance to see him. Not that I was going to run up to him and say, "Hey, kid, I'm your real daddy." I just wanted to see him without his knowing it. I don't know. Look over the fence or something.
Ben?
Where are you going?
Oh, we'll be back. Just thought you two might want to talk.
What about? What can I say to him? Or him to me?
Well, you're right. What Brezzy says is true. 3 years ago, I found I was pregnant. So I went to Antigua. And afterwards, I just went back to work.
How long has this been going on between you and Bruzzy?
6 years, maybe a little longer.
Yeah, well, that's fine for him, Jesse. What about you?
Just wanted to keep the child out of it.
He says he's never seen the child, have you?
Oh, yes, yes, I visited him many times. But that has nothing to...
You say he lives with foster parents. Have they adopted him legally?
Mr. Judd, Brazzy is innocent. Did I tell you that I could prove it? I mean, that time, New Year's Eve, when Brazzy met with Bill Schatz and they talked and Brazzy paid him off. Well, between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock is when the police say Brazzy has no alibi. That was when he killed Bill Schatz. What did Brazzy say?
That he was by himself, that he went out for a while. He took a walk in the snow. But unfortunately, he can't prove it.
Well, I can because he was with me. He was in my room. Brazzy has just been trying to protect my reputation, my good name. But I guess if our relationship is going to come out in the open, then...
Jessie, why couldn't you have come out with this sooner? It's not all that scandalous. And it clears up everything, the entire case. Look, why didn't you and Brazzy just come out and say...
Because it's not true. It's well meant, but it's not true. Am I right, Jessie? A lie? Shall I go back in there and check it out with Bruce? Jessie, you can be all kinds of help to us. Not like this, not with perjury, but by helping Ben to chase down the details of the case. Facts he has to check out, records, people. If you want to save Bruce Burke, that's the only way you can do it.
All right, Jessie. Will you help us?
Ruz, I'll speak to the DA. He may accept your version of this affair, that you weren't trying to escape. But from now on, I need the truth. All of it. Not just the parts you find it convenient to tell me, all of it. And if you don't damage your case anymore, it doesn't look too bad. The prosecution can establish that you had a motive and an opportunity to kill Schatz. But we ought to be able to come up with a dozen people with equal motive. That's why I've got to know everything about Schatz's operation, from Sawicki to the bigger racketeers he dealt with.
You won't find any racketeers in the picture.
Why not?
Because Bill Schatz, he wasn't a rackets guy. He was a poor little schnook in business for himself. No connection with mobsters.
Just a nice, clean neighborhood bookie.
Right, you wanted the truth, I'm telling you.
Brazzy, there is no such thing as a nice, clean bookmaker. Every bookmaker alive has got to lay off his bets, which means he has to deal with the mob. Now, maybe you better tell me just everything you know about Sawicki.
Him, I know you won't find.
Why won't I?
I paid him money to go away. I've been sending him money to stay away. You wanted all of it? All right, then how about Schatz, dead, sitting in my office at midnight, looking at me?
You killed him, Braz.
I found him there. I couldn't handle him myself. Or maybe I just didn't want to. Anyway, I got a hold of Sawicki. He helped me carry him out. And then Sawicki drove him away and buried him.
Is there anything more you want to tell me?
No.
Judd, can I talk to you outside? Judd, plead insanity. He killed that man. He's guilty.
He hasn't said that.
You know he is. They'll convict him anyway. Now, Judd, I gave you those psychiatric reports.
I've read them.
I'll ask Fred Zelma to come to your suite. Talk to him. He'll support an insanity plea. That'll be the best way for everyone.
All right. I'll speak to Dr. Zelmer.
Well, take a look at his childhood. He was miserable. Lonely. His mother died young. Was thrown in and out of private schools. History of failure. Take a look at his father, meanwhile. Wealthy, influential, effective, powerful. A driving sort of man.
Yes.
What does a kid do about a father like that? I mean, inside himself, secretly. One thing Brazzy did. His father was everything. He decided to be nothing. His father was effective. He'd be a bungler. Father tight-fisted. He'd be lavish. his father judged and evaluated everyone. Bruzzy decided to make no judgments whatsoever. He was shapeless, unbelievably gullible, aimless, everybody's buddy. Tramps, bookies, swindlers. He's a perfect victim. Do you follow?
To a point.
Well, he's not only rejecting his father, but punishing himself. How? By falling into every kind of corruption, disgrace, scandal, even being arrested for murder. That's the terrible thing. And glad to assist at his own final ruin. Can you imagine that?
Dr. Zellmer, do you think he could have committed murder?
Well, now suppose... Understand me, I'm just guessing. But suppose that Bruzzy started to think of Schatz as a second father. That's not so far-fetched. The bookmaker presenting himself as a reputable businessman. Dressing like one, talking like one, all about his son in college. Schatz, the pillar of virtue, standing there and scolding. Now, Bruzzy, you have an obligation to me. I trusted you. Now, son, you'd better measure up.
You think Bruzzy could have killed him?
I think he could. And if he said he did, I'd be willing to go to court to help show why. Mr. Judd, do you like your work sometimes?
I talked to Dr. Zellmer this afternoon. Then I consulted with the district attorney. He'll agree, if we want, to your examination by a board of psychiatrists, leading to the possibility that we could plead not guilty by reason of insanity. I think the plea would be accepted. You'd avoid trial and the chance of conviction. Then you'd be confined to a mental hospital for probably a considerable time. Years.
Always wondered how they make baskets.
Bruzzy, do you want us to take this course?
I'll leave it up to you.
Then there's one last question. I'm sure you know what it is. The thing you haven't told me up till now, which I've carefully avoided asking you. Did you kill William Schatz?
No.
Now, Bruzzy, I'm prepared to accept whatever you tell me. But I must warn you, your case can't stand any more disasters.
I did not kill Schatz.
All right, then. We can't. We're going to trial.
The key phrase, ladies and gentlemen, is beyond reasonable doubt. Beyond reasonable doubt, the defendant knew William Schatz, was familiar with him, made and lost bets to him, was in debt to him, and failed to pay those debts. And beyond reasonable doubt, had tried at various times to hide, deny, and lie each and every one of these facts. But we will bring in witnesses who can place together the defendant and William Schatz on the night of that murder. We will bring in evidence, items found on William Schatz and later found in the possession of the defendant, Bruce Burke.
Doubt in this case is not simply reasonable. It's overwhelming. Why, in this case, the only two facts beyond reasonable doubt were known long before this trial started. That a bookie, William Schatz, was found murdered. And that out of countless people who knew him and patronized him was Bruce Burke. Now, between these two far apart facts, the prosecutor will try to manufacture any connection he can. But ask yourself, each time, after each witness, whether he has. And ask yourself a second question. Why, out of hundreds of people whom this bookie knew, with whom he dealt, by whom he was owed money, why the police and prosecutor, by their own records, ignored those hundreds of other persons, many of them criminals, ignored 100 leads and connections they could have followed out, and instead fastened on what? Why? Because it was simpler. Because the defendant was well-known, wealthy, and visible. In short, because Bruce Burke was a good target.
Having examined the deceased, I established that he had died of 3 gunshot wounds. 2 in the chest, 1 in the thorax. And as the coroner, I so certify.
As coroner, Dr. Corelli, you've examined many victims of professional killings, have you not?
Well, that's correct.
Would you classify this as a clean professional killing?
It was very messy.
Your witness.
Dr. Corelli, a messy killing in what way?
Well, the deceased apparently lived some time after he was shot. 30 seconds, perhaps. Struggled violently. Expelled a great deal of blood.
So you say it was the work of an amateur?
I said no such thing.
Perhaps I misunderstood you.
I said he was killed. To say that it was done by a professional or an amateur, either one, that is ridiculous.
Thank you, Doctor. That's all.
When the police came, a detective Lerner, I think it was, asked me if Bruce Burke owed Schatz money. I said yes. I have too, owed him money. I didn't know they were trapping him.
Mr. Gratner, we realize that you're a personal friend of the defendant, but please try to confine your answers closely to the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant had talked with you, confided in you about his difficulties with Schatz.
No, once or twice. Several times.
But afterwards, on that night, after the defendant met William Schatz and allegedly paid him off, did he then tell you he had in fact paid him?
No.
He didn't tell you anything like, well, I've taken care of that, or, well, I just saw Schatz and I paid him off? Anything like that?
I don't think he felt it was important.
But he had felt it was important before, and now he didn't mention Schatz at all? The witness indicates no. Defense may cross-examine.
Mr. Gratner, did the defendant, on any of the occasions when he spoke to you about his debt to Schatz, indicate that he felt desperate about it?
No.
That he couldn't possibly raise the money?
No.
Did he ever tell you that he felt cheated or abused by Schatz?
Well, Schatz was pressing him a little. He wanted him to sign a note for it. But outside of that, no.
Taking all things together, do you feel the defendant would kill for that amount of money?
No, or for any other amount. Absolutely not. Never.
Thank you.
In right side pants pocket, a handkerchief. In left side pocket, a religious medal, keychain, $400 in bills.
Not 14,000?
No, sir, 400. In left rear pocket, a torn piece of paper appearing to be part of a business bill. Invoice of some kind.
Sergeant Lerner, I now show you a piece of paper. Is this what you had spoken of?
Yes.
I now show you a second and larger piece of paper. Do these two match?
Yes.
I ask that they be marked in evidence, Your Honor. Sergeant Lerner, what do these two pieces constitute?
Statement to Bruce Burke from Schatz Repair Service that he owed them $14,000, and the legend and handwriting received and acknowledged, signed Bruce Burke.
You say you found the smaller piece of paper on Schatz's body. When did you find the larger piece?
My third, I think it was, conversation with the defendant after he admitted he owed Schatz the money. But I paid him, he said to me. He gave me this back for receipt. Well, I said, if he gave it to you, why didn't he sign it paid? Did he give it to you, I said, or did you tear it out of his pocket after he was laying on his back in front of you dead?
Objection, Your Honor.
The jurors will disregard the last part of that statement.
Objection sustained.
I believe I have no more questions.
Sergeant, those two pieces of paper are interesting. Now tell me what they prove.
Well, the fact they were torn.
Proves what?
Could mean that they were caught in Schatz's pocket. Somebody tore it, pulling it out.
Couldn't it also mean that Schatz himself tore it, pulling it out, after he was paid, handing it over?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, my second main question. At what point did Bruce Burke become a notable suspect in this case?
About a month ago.
A month? After all the information you had from the start?
Well, at first there wasn't much pointed to him. We had other suspects.
How many other, Sergeant? Before Bruce Burke?
About 30.
Suspects like Terry Zwicky, the bellhop at the Skylark Hotel?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Judd's strategy seems obvious. To defend his client by accusing everyone else.
If the police will locate Zwicky, I'll be happy to ask him in person.
Objection overruled.
Well, Zwicky was a suspect.
And what was it, Sergeant, which finally diverted your attention from those 30 other suspects and toward Bruce Burke, some piece of deduction?
We got a tip. Anonymous.
An anonymous tip? Somebody called you up and said, get Bruce Burke, and you had no idea who it was?
No.
Sergeant, since that time, since that anonymous tip, how much of your time have you spent investigating Bruce Burke and how much on everyone else?
Objection.
I'll allow that question, Mr. Grusin.
Well, can you estimate, Sergeant, 60-40, 90-10?
You can't investigate everybody. Sometimes you've got to just pick someone and narrow it down.
Sometimes you've just got to pick somebody.
Yes.
Would you repeat that, Sergeant?
Objection, Your Honor. It was completely audible.
I'll allow Mr. Judd his emphasis.
I said sometimes you got to narrow it down. What's the matter with that?
Thank you, Sergeant. That's all for now. Your Honor, I may eventually call Sergeant Lerner for the defense.
This court stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Good evening, Jessie.
Compliments of Mr. James Burke.
Well.
Ah, the big fella likes us now.
Well, I wouldn't say that Mr. Burke likes anyone, really, except he does like the way the case is going. Pretty well, huh?
Oh, not too badly.
This is for you, Ben. Man called 3 times while you were out. Want you to call him exactly at 7, which it is now.
Thanks.
You know, the word has it that the prosecution isn't doing too well. What happens tomorrow when that chemist gets on the stand and testifies on clothing fibers?
Well, he'll be the last of the tough prosecution witnesses, and I'm hopeful we can get by him.
And then what? And what if it comes out that Bruzzy found shots in his office and paid Sawicki, do you know what?
No answer.
May not come out, Jesse. That is, we're not putting Bruzzy on the stand, not unless we catch up with Zwicky and find out how he fits it.
Hello, this is Ben
You ever
Caldwell.
catch up with Sawicki?
Oh, there's a fair chance. We've got the police on it and private investigators.
Well, who am I talking to, please?
What do you think you'll find out from him?
A lot of things, Jesse. Notably, how the devil did a dead bookie get planted in Bruzzy's office and for what purpose?
Hold it just 1 minute. Yes. Would you repeat that, please? Yes, well, I understand that part, but... Well, could you please tell me who I'm talking to? Yes, it does make a difference. Well, how about that? Now we're getting anonymous tips.
For what effect?
Just a minute.
Oh, Ben, don't bother. It's a phone booth on the corner of 7th and Main. The man called 3 times. I just tried to reach him for you.
First he said, you're right about Zwicky, keep after Zwicky, or words to that effect.
Not sure we need the advice.
Yeah, but then you know what he said? He said Gratner. Yes, in an obviously disguised voice and pretty indistinct, something about Gratner.
Jesse, what about Gratner?
Ratner. Middle-aged maid pincher. I can't think of much else to say about him.
Well, there's this that I can think of. When Arnold Schatz gave us that list of people who made bets with his brother, Gratner's name was not on it.
This court is in session. Mr. Grusin, you may continue with the state's witnesses.
Your Honor, as everyone knows, I'd intended at this time to call Dr. Gordon O'Banion to testify on certain scientific aspects of this case. Instead, I must ask the court's permission to introduce a witness not previously scheduled, whose testimony goes directly to the heart of
Objection, Your Honor.
Shall we let the district attorney continue his request?
I object to his calling any witness without due notice to the defense.
Your Honor, I did not know of this witness myself until a few hours ago.
I repeat my objection.
The court will hear the conclusion of Mr. Grusin's request.
Thank you, Your Honor. As I was trying to say, a witness whose testimony goes directly to the heart of this matter.
Whoever this witness is, Your Honor, the prosecution is committing a breach of due process.
Is that all, Mr. Judd?
I may ask the court to declare mistrial.
Well, the court will assume that risk. Your objections have been duly noted. Produce your witness.
The state calls Miss Jessalyn Tree.
is she going to say? Something you never told us?
If you can stop her, you better.
State your name, please.
Jessalyn Tree.
Your Honor, we know this witness. She's a friend and associate of the defendant. She's been constantly harassed by the prosecution. And if now, finally, she's been badgered and coerced and frightened...
Why don't you hear her, Mr. Judd?
It's not simply that, Your Honor. She, Miss Tree, has actually helped prepare minor aspects of the defense case. Will you warn her concerning privilege?
Yes. Miss Tree, you may not testify on anything that you witnessed between the defendant and his attorneys.
Oh, I didn't intend to, Your Honor.
Proceed.
All right, Miss Tree. Let's clear this thing up fast. Have you, from time to time, been questioned by the police, by me?
Yes.
And have you, in Mr. Judd's words, in any way been harassed, badgered, coerced, frightened?
No.
And is what you're about to tell us now different from what you told anyone before?
Yes.
Why is it you never mentioned it before?
Well, because of my relationship with the defendant.
Will you tell it to us now, as you told it to me a short while ago?
I am the assistant manager of the Skylark Hotel. I've known the defendant for 6 years.
Yes, I know a close relationship.
Yes.
Were you familiar with his business dealings with William Schatz?
Yes, and I knew that he was to meet Schatz that evening, that he planned to pay him everything he owed him. You see, it was New Year's Eve, and we were having a large celebration in the main ballroom. A lot of noise.
You were helping to supervise?
Yes, I was. Then I went to look for him.
At what time was that?
It was exactly at midnight, the New Year. I wanted to be with him. I went to his office and suite. Well, I found him standing there. His back was more or less toward me. And I looked past him, and I saw Bill Schatz in the office chair. It was a moment or two before I realized that he was covered with blood. He was dead.
Can you continue, Miss Tree? Did you then speak with Mr. Burke?
I guess I said something. And he turned to me, and he said, Jessie, please help me, I've killed him. Please, Jessie, help me, I've killed him.
Bruce, and you just lost the case. I'll jam this right through the roof.
Hold you back. Jam what?
You made a deal with her.
Well, as it happens, I did not.
Don't tell me that. A witness who, by her own testimony, is an accessory to murder? With no intention of prosecuting her. You got to her last night and frightened her into a quick deal.
I frightened her.
She was on my client's side all the way through till 7 o'clock last night. Suddenly, this morning, she's on your side. If you didn't frighten her, who did?
You did.
What?
You told her you expected to turn up Terry Zawicki. Oh, isn't it true that Zawicki saw the dead man in your client's office?
Yes, that's true.
And he also saw Jessalyn Tree in there. He could finger her. Call her an accessory, couldn't he? That's what the woman was scared of. And she came running to me late last night. What was I supposed to do, chase her away?
Bruce and I probably owe you an apology.
Forget it. I'm glad to clear up any questions in your eminent mind, which I hope I've done.
All except the big one. Why is the woman lying?
But she's telling the truth.
Rossi, are you stupid enough to protect her now?
She not only committed perjury, but she's good at it. The jury believes her.
She told the truth, and that's it. She came in that night. She found me with Schatz, just as she says.
Why didn't you ever tell us that?
I wanted to keep her out of it.
At least you'll have one satisfaction. You dug your own grave. Every time we've relied on you to...
Did you say to her, as she testified, Jessie, I killed him?
She undoubtedly thinks I
Oh,
said.
what did you really say?
You like to know what I really said?
Yes.
All right, sure. So would I like to know what I really said. Right then I wasn't talking or thinking too clearly. Look, maybe I said, Jessie, they'll say I killed him. And I mumbled and she didn't understand.
Brazzy, did you do it?
I already answered that for you once. No. But I don't know who we've got left to believe that. The newspapers don't. The DA doesn't. My dear old papa. Jessie doesn't. You want to know something? I've almost gotten to the point where I'm not too sure myself. I heard somewhere you can never tell what a jury's going to do.
Yeah, well, in this case...
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
The defendant will please rise. What is your verdict?
Of the charge of murder in the first degree, we find the defendant, Bruce Burke, guilty.
It's all right. It's just that I'm a little surprised because I really didn't do it, Mr. Judd.
Well, according to you, the bookie was Mr. Nice Guy. The woman who nailed you was as honest as a Madonna. So who was left to play the villain?
Judge, you lost. You got my son convicted.
Mr. Burke, you
You
understand?
could have saved him. You could have pleaded insanity. I told you to. Even had it set up. But you had to do it your way.
Mr. Burke, we will appeal.
How long will it take you to file the papers?
2 or 3 days.
Take 3 days and do it. Also get your records ready to hand over to another lawyer. And then get out of here. You're fired. I'm bringing in John Gage from Chicago. 3 days. Then get back to Houston. You fool. You absolute incompetent.
Mr. Judd. I'm sorry. I won't have any statements for the press until later.
I'm not a reporter. I'm Terry Zawicki.
Zawicki. Where have you been, Zawicki?
In business. Bruce Burke paid me to stay away, so I did. Now he's not going to pay me anymore, so I'm back.
All right, start talking, Zawicki. Was Brazzy deliberately framed? Do you know about it? Why was he framed? Why was a harmless little bookie like Schatz murdered?
That ain't the way it goes, Mr. Judd. You got Burke convicted. Now, you want to get him off?
You want money?
That's why I come back. I'm running the risk, Judd. You better believe it. Big people.
How much?
50,000. If you keep me completely out. If you want me to testify, 100.
Who's got that kind of money?
Mr. Burke, millionaire hotel owner. And he's the boy's daddy. Check on it. I'll give you a call.
Let me meet you somewhere, or give me a number where
I
you
told you, I'm running the risk, Judd. Have your luck. Don't crowd me.
Doesn't say much, does he?
Oh, he said a great deal already. Think it through, Ben. Zawicki wouldn't come back if he ran the risk of a murder charge. And he wouldn't have information to sell if it were all just an accident. Somebody killed Schatz, planted the body, and framed our client all for the same purpose.
Yeah, whatever that might be.
What's been almost in our hands right from the start. The only thing left. Somebody wanted to take over gambling at the Skylark. Someone had either to deal with Schatz and our client or get rid of them both. We don't know who he is. But we know his connection. His accomplice. His partner.
Miss Jesselyn Tree.
We'll have to do what we can while we're still the attorneys of record.
Oh, sure. No, we got 3 whole days.
exciting conclusion of Fall of a Skylark, The Appeal.